That conversation, that went from a screaming match about Hunter Biden screaming about it to talking about why we should be giving freedoms to trans people, but we should be taking kids away from not only drag shows, but also Hooters if it's sexualized, to why we need to tax the rich more and why he voted Trump. But then he also is more of a Rand Paul guy who was a former Bernie bro, and we ended up connecting on the Constitution and why we need to protect American values, personal freedom, and not let the wealthy take over society. And we also talked about like China and Russia being threats, and about how the Russian military is propagandized and not real, and the U.S. military is strong, although we talk about like social issues. Interesting conversation. I feel like I just talked to populism. I talked to populism. That was not a person. That was the embodiment of populism. Hello.
Hey,
How's it going?
good. How are you?
Doing all right.
Good, man. So you give me a topic, bud, and I would like to try to prove you wrong.
Okay. So Donald Trump, his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, was given really high positions in the White House. He ran a bunch of different things.
hmm
Upon leaving the White House, he ended up getting a $2 billion investment from Saudi Arabia, from a Saudi Arabian
Okay.
investor in private
hmm
equity, $2 billion, and he never
All
worked in
right.
private equity before, at
Okay.
all. But he got this
hmm
investment, and Trump gave him those connections. Pretty much, he got it through the White House. It makes any money
Welcome to
Hunter
every
Biden made seem
presidency
like
ever.
no, okay, no, because it
Yes.
makes what Hunter
Okay.
Biden
Yes.
got. Do you know the difference between $50,000 and $2 billion? Do you know how many
Uh,
billions of dollars it was? Do you
I
know how
don't think
many?
it's just $50,000, buddy. You might want to go and do your little research a little bit better than that.
Okay, but anyways, okay. Charles Kushner is Jared Kushner's dad. Okay, Jared's dad is
Yeah.
Charles. You know what Charles
hmm
Kushner did?
I believe. I trust me. I know the Kushner family's not quite the best family, so
So
you're not
Charles
gonna.
Kushner did financial fraud, and he had a federal case in the early 2000s. And his sister and brother-in-law, I think, or brother, was going to testify against him. So in
hmm
retaliation to try and prevent them from doing this, he decided to, yeah, Charles Kushner decided to set his brother up with a sex worker, record it, and send it to his sister to scare them both out of uh, actually talking to the feds in the early 2000s.
You mean
Um,
Ashley, the same Ashley that left her diary at somebody's house and then had to sue to be able to get it back, even though it wasn't real?
so
That diary?
Charles Kushner, okay, recorded his
You'll
brother with a sex worker,
answer the
set them
question.
up.
All right, that's fine.
Okay, no, I'm trying to finish my point. Do you think,
I'll finish.
okay, so the financial fraud, okay, and then
hmm
setting up his brother, who's going to talk to the feds, sex worker recording it, revenge porn, all right, this person's in
hmm
federal prison. Trump pardons Charles Kushner, who is Jared Kushner's dad, and makes him ambassador to France. Is that a bad thing?
Bad thing. You do not pardon people for sex crimes like that. No. But you, on the other hand, you have your same same deal. There, it happens in every presidency. You're arguing a point that is really happens every single time we have a president.
I don't think. Do you believe in nuance?
Yeah, I do.
Are there different
Wholeheartedly.
levels of severity to
Yes,
corruption?
there's wholeheartedly different levels of severity.
Okay, so also, Trump pardoned the 14 Blackwater war criminals who gunned down civilians in Iraq. Um, is that bad?
Gun down civilians on whose order?
It was not on an order. They were serving a private, quote unquote, private security in an area, and they started firing on civilians.
Who gave the
Someone
order?
led it. Whoever led it, whoever was leading the group, ended up getting life in prison. So whoever that was got life in prison, and everyone else joined in. They got lighter sentences, not life in prison, but pretty decent sentences. So it's hard to get charged in America if you do something like that abroad, especially as like
Correct.
private contractors or in the military. So they came back
Yes.
in prison. Probably one of the worst war crimes on civilians directly, especially from a
Other
private
than
group
Obama,
in Iraq.
let's
So
talk
they
about
did
some
that.
drone bombings of weddings,
Okay,
and
no, no,
I,
but they
I don't
did
know.
that, and then Trump pardoned
Pardon to
all
them.
of them. Okay, because
Okay.
Betsy DeVos is the sister of the founder of Blackwater. But Obama, if you talk about drone strikes, Trump increased drone strikes over Obama, and Obama's were already high, so Trump like tripled over Obama, and then Trump removed the mechanism to even track drone strikes. So that's not even a point we could really bring up. And
Well, that was
Biden ended drone strikes
ISIS was
completely.
also a thing after that too. So you're kind of arguing a non-valid point there.
But Biden ended drone strikes, and Trump
Biden
increased them
ended drone
massively.
strikes. No, Biden destroyed the Middle East. Like, do you not see how horribly those people live now since Biden botched the whole entire Afghanistan withdrawal?
Well, he had restrictions against drone strikes. He did not end it. The Afghanistan withdrawal, with which the stage was completely set by Trump, and Biden actually made it better than what Trump's plan was going to be.
War crime, if you want to get technical.
Okay, wait. No, I'm talking about the Blackwater war criminals. Why did Trump pardon them? Is that comparable? Can you name another situation in Biden or Obama's presidency where they pardoned anyone near them?
Why don't you tell me that? Why did Trump say he pardoned them?
He didn't give a reason. He never gives a reason for literally anything.
Oh, really? Well, what's Biden's reason for anything? He'd never give us a reason for anything.
For which thing?
For pardoning his son. Why did he do that?
So Hunter Biden was facing federal charges for filling out an ATF form incorrectly, saying he was not using drugs when he was, and also for back taxes, which he did pay.
Had him in his had his balls in his hand, and
that was proven to be false. That was proven to be false.
That is bullshit, and you know it.
That was proven to be false. It literally came out that it was false.
By
someone? Are you talking about Ukraine?
Yes, I'm talking about the Ukraine stuff and 10%
the watchdog, the FBI watchdog that brought up a lot of those issues just got the guy that just
said that the laptop was
the supposed informant, since you don't watch the news, literally just got sent to prison last week because he lied about the Hunter Biden story with Ukraine.
How about all 52 people that sit there and said the laptop was real?
Can you not engage with one point?
Did any of those?
Can you engage with one point?
Did any of those go real?
Engage with one point.
Any of those?
One at a time. So Hunter Biden, what Joe Biden said, there was a plea deal available for Hunter Biden, which if you're an addict and you fill out an ATF form wrong and back taxes, the case should not be that high profile. But there was a plea deal that was agreed upon, and a Trump judge threw it out. And then after it got thrown out and the case was forwarded and they continued pushing it, now Trump comes in with Kash Patel and a bunch of other guys who say they're going to go after Hunter Biden no matter what. So
and
after
that, because his daddy's the one that passed the crack bill that should have put his ass in prison for 5 years anyways.
You can't stay on one topic. You got to bring up other Twitter headlines to try to talk about
not.
this.
It's
you
not
can't talk about one thing. You said Biden gave no reason for doing that. I'm talking about Trump pardoning war criminals and pardoning sex criminals, and you're comparing it to Hunter Biden, and I'm telling you why.
Are you joking? He's fucking been with underage women. I'm pretty sure all that was on the fucking laptop. That wasn't real either. So you guys can keep arguing your point with the Trump.
That's a made up story.
War criminals. That is not a made up story. That has been
yes,
proven
it is. There's no evidence that Hunter Biden was with the only person with underage girls was Donald Trump's pick for attorney general. That's the only proof we have of a person who's actually in government doing that versus Hunter Biden, a private citizen.
Not proven doing anything.
Okay.
So you can go ahead.
If Matt Gaetz was not proven, then Hunter Biden sure hell wasn't.
Really, his has pictures. Where's the pictures of Matt Gaetz?
There's no pictures. There are no.
All fucking strippers.
You made the accusation that Hunter Biden was found with underage people, underage kids. So you don't have any evidence.
Trust me. Would you like
underage kids?
Because they're going to show it all over the television.
You don't have evidence about any of this. What websites do you get your news from?
Dude, really?
Really. You have not engaged with literally one thing I've said. We have moved.
Fucking topics are the most wrap around fucking bullshit.
We have moved. You're wrapping around.
You
are slimy. We have moved. We have moved 10 points. Now you're calling me a Democrat. You're name calling because you're a kid and you can't really defend your points. Let's go back to the war criminal.
You're a fucking cuck, bro. You can't even fucking talk for yourself half the time.
Yeah, this guy's a kid.
You just use fucking MSNBC
Listen to him.
and CNN
Listen to him.
Points.
He's having a meltdown right now. He's having a fit. I could go on Call of Duty right now and get better commentary. I should go I could get more intellectual commentary from Call of Duty easily. I'll go on CS:GO right now and be able to have a more philosophical discussion because you have a dopamine addicted brain who only gets his information from the most outrageous, sensationalized Twitter posts. Because
I don't even have a Twitter, so nice try, bud. I don't have a Facebook
I'm proud
or
of you.
a Twitter.
Then you are just naturally this way. That's even worse.
Dude, you just have a tendency to hate people that don't agree with you, and
that don't give any facts. And you're making confident claims about things you don't know about. Yes, I do not like that in a democracy. I want you to back up your opinions with facts. Sure.
All right,
was it bad that Trump pardoned the war criminals?
Sitting in front of me, and I was sitting there, and I did this every day.
I'm not Googling anything. I just know these things.
Oh, you just know these
Is it
things.
bad that Trump pardoned the war criminals?
I agree. That's probably a bad thing.
Is that
Yes.
worse than Hunter Biden?
Yes. But Hunter
Okay,
Biden
I'll take
still
it.
needs to go to jail. You guys believe in the rule of law and all this bullshit, then you
I'll take
can't
it.
play one way and not play the other. And that's where I see that this goes wrong. Is that Democrats always want to go after one person, but they don't want to go after their own people.
Hunter Biden's own DOJ investigated him.
Yeah, his own DOJ, really. His own
Yes,
DOJ
he let an
that is
investigation about his own
headed
family go
by
on. Meanwhile, Donald
who?
Trump.
Who's the DOJ headed by?
Who?
Garland? Is that it? Is Garland the one that's running all this shit, and he didn't go fast enough to be able to make Trump go to jail quick enough for the election and all that shit?
You watch Rachel Maddow?
So, do I watch Rachel Maddow?
Yeah.
Do I sound like a lesbian?
Yeah. Is that a bad thing?
Yeah, it's a bad thing. Oh, dude. Anyways, thanks for answering my question, but
What's your favorite economic policy?
oh, Lordy be Jesus. Favorite economic policy? Let's see. Lowering taxes for the American people by trickle down effect is probably the best way to do it. Or honestly, tariffs I don't think are going to work. I think tariffs are going to work about 50% of the way, and then we're going to have to start working on cutting back government spending. That's the way that I think that we should do it.
Why does the economy crash whenever we try trickle down economics?
What do you mean? When did we try trickle down economics and it crashed? Other than
Well, other
way
than
back in the day.
Ronald Reagan,
Yeah, way back in the
into
day.
Bush. Okay, Ronald Reagan, because Bush came in, W. Bush. Well, we had
Yes.
George Bush as well, who cut regulations and did trickle down economics. Again, every Republican does it, and that's why they have less jobs than Democrats typically, because Democrats get elected after them and then have to build the economy back. Trump, we didn't have enough time. COVID happened, so we don't really know how Trump's economy would have gone. COVID kind of, forced everything to fail. But yeah, trickle down economics just doesn't work, man. I mean, I know the rich daddies of society are telling you it works, but it never worked. It just never worked.
You know, I do think that if maybe we did cut more regulations, we would be able to get more jobs, and we would
No,
be
but
able
like,
to get.
if you give them more money, they don't make more jobs for us, though.
No,
Like, if you're a
I know,
private
I
company,
agree with that.
like,
Trust me, I know. A
but they
private
don't
company is
raise,
always going
but
to
they
care
don't
about
increase
the bottom
wages, right?
line.
They don't increase wages then, right? Because they only care about the bottom line. So how would that trickle? How does it trickle down to us if they don't increase? If they don't make more jobs or increase wages, how does it trickle
We
down
need
to
to
us?
lower taxes.
For the ultra wealthy?
No, we need to probably raise taxes for the ultra wealthy. We need to stop it to where they can't go. We need to eliminate the Social Security cap first of all. That needs to go. This
That's great.
$40,000
I
bullshit
agree.
needs to go. That
So
needs
like
to
the
go.
wealthy should be taxed more for Social Security, you
Yes,
mean?
they should be taxed to a percentage. Yes, and right now there's
I
a
agree.
cutoff, and there should not be a cutoff for things like that.
Yeah, that's really good.
That would help our Social Security. That would help our 401k. That would be the trickle down that I'm talking about. Not as far
yeah.
as like
That's
giving
Bernie's solution. That's Bernie
well,
Sanders' solution to fix Social Security. That's one of his
just
solutions.
a little bit less socialist than Bernie's ideas. Yes,
Well, I mean, it's the same
I agree.
policy. Socialism, the labels don't matter. It's the same policy.
I mean, it's just it's paying your fair share. That's what it is. And
yeah.
that's
And
a
I agree
term
that's
that
not
the left
socialism.
likes to use, but I agree. I think that would be a good thing.
See, and I don't want us to feel scared to say those things just because we're on a certain political side. It's like Trump's tax cuts. If he just did tax cuts for the working and middle class, I'd be fine with them. But the big
No, if he
issue
would have kept
is,
those going, he fucking cut it off. That was the problem. He cut it off after 4 years,
yeah.
and
So
that
I don't
should have
like that at
never
all.
happened.
So like
Because
he decreases tax for the rich and keeps them, but he makes a cutoff period for the working people, so they need to vote for him again because he wants them to run
that's
back to
why
him.
I'm starting to get fucking blackpilled with all this shit. Like, trust me, I'm not believing that this is going to be everybody's savior because that shit is just unrealistic.
No,
We
I
need to
appreciate
support
that
the
because people
administration
look at
that
him like
we
he's
have.
God, and I don't appreciate that.
Yeah, we need to appreciate what we have as an administration. We need to make the best out of it. And I believe that we have too much fucking infighting between Democrats and Republicans. We're all fucking people. We all want fucking cheaper groceries. We all want lower taxes. We all want the same goals, We just have certain things that are getting in the way, and those certain things are honestly just social fads that need to probably work themselves out.
It
And
is social issues for sure.
social issues are like 90% of our problem of why we don't communicate.
Well,
And that
even
is,
just macho energy people pay attention to because they care more about slogans than they care about discussing like
well, that's because people
policies.
are stupid nowadays, dude.
Well,
People are
yeah,
a
but
lot stupider than they
like
used to be.
Elon Musk being unelected and having the most money in the world and influencing policy directly to the point where like every member of Congress is bowing down and doing like a Doge thing that he named. I don't like that because that's like an unelected person who's taken power in the government who has business interests that are anti-American.
Correct.
And he has like brain chips, he has the satellites, he has the autonomous vehicles, he has the deals with China
Right.
and Russia. Like this guy has his hands everywhere in society. And like, do you know that Cybertruck that exploded in front of the Trump Tower in Vegas?
Yeah. Yep.
So
With the
Elon
guy in
Musk,
front
right when
out of
that
it.
happened, he instantly went in and got camera footage tracking that Cybertruck at every single charging station it's ever been at and handed it over to the FBI. And they even got information from the footage the Cybertruck recorded during its entire lifespan. So I guess your Teslas are recording all the time. So if you see a Tesla outside, that is a
Hmm.
surveillance tool that is recording you. And if Elon
Right.
Musk wants to watch that footage, he can
No,
watch
I
that
agree.
footage and see everywhere in the country.
Yep.
And the fact that he's being welcomed in right now, and people are like, "Oh my God, Elon Musk and Trump should be our two kings." That's really scary to me because that's
No,
anti-American, that's anti-freedom, that's
it is.
anti-constitution. Our founding fathers right now, even bring I keep saying this, even bring Ronald Reagan back today, he'd be like, "What the hell? We're pro-Russia now. The Republicans are
Yeah.
pro-Russia. Like you're talking
No,
about Putin being amazing and our four-star
it's
generals
not.
are babies.
I
Like
don't know if
what are
it's
you
pro
talking about?"
Russia. We're trying to make our own oligarchs. That's what we're doing. It's not a pro
Yeah,
Russia
yeah.
thing. I think it's we're trying to make our own fucking
Well, even
oligarchs.
Reagan spoke
And
good about immigration, right? Because even if he had like a
yeah,
certain like mindset towards it, he still said that we were the shining, what was it called again? The shining whatever on the hill, and like we should be a place that benefits from immigration, and we welcome immigrants if
correct.
they come through. We have to have legal processes. We have to fund it.
And
Like
that's the
his
problem.
rhetoric was not dehumanizing at all. It
We
was
don't
just like
have
straight to
a
the problem, right?
process. That's
Yeah,
our
yeah.
problem.
And that's why I hate the wall conversation because the wall is not a process. If Trump talked once about asylum or about amnesty or about anything like that, I'd be like, wow, Trump is talking about a real policy. But I feel like he talks about the
Well,
wall because
see,
that's what
I
people visualize as the fix.
and
Like, oh, it's a
that's
wall, it's
right.
going to protect us.
I can't get away with the amnesty thing because there's so many people here that
Yeah, but I want a
amnesty
position. You
would.
know what I mean? I want him to talk about it. I want to know that our president knows what the word amnesty actually means. You know?
Yeah, yeah. That's because he's catering to too far of a side. That's what the problem is. He needs to go back to his centrist Democrat, well, 2016 type Trump. I think he got a little bit away from that and got more into the radical side, I guess. I don't really want to say radical because it's not really violent radical type shit. It's just more in your face stuff. I guess it's more talking points. So it's getting the dumb people. I mean, that's bottom line. It's getting the people that just use slogans
Well, I'm hearing
and use
people say they
talking
want a
points.
king. I'm hearing people say they want a king. They don't
Oh
want to
my
think about it.
God,
They trust Trump. They don't care
no,
about process. They should, like all the Republicans in Congress are saying, we should appoint whoever Trump wants because Trump deserves it because he got a resounding victory, although it's one of the smallest victories in American history still.
no. See, you
It's just
cannot
not
do
good.
that.
Colts aren't good. Like it's anti-American. Our founding fathers wrote a whole document about this. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, no, I know. I trust me, man. I know, and I hate whenever you say cult because that's clearly we've already had a fucking rift with the whole
yeah.
H-1B bullshit. So it's not
Well,
really a cult.
Trump said something about suspending the Constitution a few times. It's like, oh well,
That's
I know better than the
insane.
Constitution. I'm like, why is no one calling
No,
him out
no
about
one
this,
knows
dude?
better
Like,
than the
why?
Constitution. Clearly, if anybody
I
knew better than the
agree.
Constitution, then we'd be fucking way past this. It would be a way shitty world if somebody knew better than the Constitution.
Yeah,
Anybody that thinks they know better than the Constitution always ends up making the world a worse place.
yeah. So I mean, I'm just hoping. I'm hoping that we don't completely fall apart when it comes to talking to each other and conversations and all that kind of stuff. And people do feel like they do have the mentality, which I'm sure you do. You have the mentality that both sides are corrupt. I'm done with all corruption. I'm sick of
Yeah,
it. I see them both as the same. But I'll be like coming in like, okay, there's different stakeholders at the table for both sides. Like I think Biden's administration is more pro labor than Trump's has been, or more pro like American manufacturing and infrastructure because Biden
right.
actually got like an infrastructure bill done. But then also we have social issues that kind of convolute that because people will be like, well, I don't support the trans stuff. and I'll be like, well, I don't really care. Like
I
it's
don't
a
care, dude. Like, see,
constitutional rights.
I'm a Republican. I don't care about the trans stuff as long as you keep it away from my kids. I mean, that's all I care about. I don't think the
Well, we
kids
can
need to
work
be
on. Well,
learning
okay.
about stuff
If
like that.
do you think that like Hooters should be not for kids? Like, do you think kids should be
No,
taken
Hooters
away from Hooters?
definitely should not be for kids.
Okay,
I
because
wouldn't
that's at
take
least
my kids
consistent.
into a
Because
Hooters.
I see people doing child beauty pageants, and they're taking their kids to Hooters, but then they have issue with like drag shows, which I think you
No,
gotta if you take
see,
one,
that
you
none
gotta
of
have
that.
both, in
That's
my
all
opinion.
adult entertainment to me, and that should be all in its own 18 and above sphere. And you know what,
Okay, yeah, that's
16,
fine.
you can say 16 and above because 16 you can have an adult with you or whatever. I think that would be even whatever. That's fine.
But
But
if
kids
someone's
that are
like,
super young don't have the mental capacity to be able to think of those things, and it shouldn't be forced upon them because these kids are growing up too fast as it is with the internet.
so
So
for like so for Hooters and drag shows, I can agree, especially if they're sexualized, of course, that kids should not be in areas that are sexualized.
correct.
But if someone, for example, if someone is 18 and is diagnosed after, rigorous testing with a psychologist, they've had this issue for a long time, and they're diagnosed with like gender dysphoria, and we
Yeah.
know that gender affirming care has a 98% success rate. Only 2% or less people like become or not become, but 2% or less people transition or change their pronouns and whatever and
Have
identify as
regret. Is
trans
that what you're
and have
trying to get?
regret. Yeah, very
Right.
small. Because I said less than 2% regret becoming trans, which is the incorrect way to say it. Because it's like saying you became gay. Like you don't just become gay one
Right. No,
day. Like
I
you've
get
always
what
been
you're
gay.
saying.
But I always catch
Right.
myself saying that because I talk like a dumb idiot from a cold town, which I am. Um, but yeah, it's and that's one of the big things where people they're convoluting it where it's like I talk about just the individual rights of someone and personal responsibility, personal individual freedoms and personal respect, but they make it about kids constantly. They make it about sports constantly. And I guarantee you,
Right.
if we come from a place of respect, I guarantee you 80% to 90%, maybe even 95% of liberals would agree that no one should be able to just like transition one day and jump into the sport,
Right.
and that would be the same for trans men too, because there's an issue with if you send a trans man into football, like they're about to
Yeah.
get their ass knocked out. Like it's
They're
also
gonna
we
get
only
hurt
talk about
too.
trans women for a reason. So yeah,
Right.
there's definitely reasons for this, and I guarantee you the issue is that the people who focus on this as the number one issue are typically very anti-personal freedom. So that's where the conversation starts. So many people on the left at that point, they feel like, oh, I need to defend this issue now because I
Right.
know why they're talking about it. Like there's a reason you're talking about this every single day, and we have not talked about economics in years. Like it's yeah.
And more people are more worried about that than they are fucking on economics, and that, yeah, I get that. It's just, man, like I said, as long as the kids are away from it and they can make their own decision when they're 18, I don't care. Like I'm not gonna knock you for being gay, or I'm not gonna knock you for thinking you're a woman or whatever. That's your own. That's live your own life, man. Like that's the way I've always been raised. Like, and I'm a fucking full-blooded Republican, man. Like, trust me, we are on the same page here with that. I just, it's kids. Kids are the only. I have two daughters, so it's just really hard for me to wrap my head around the
Well,
drag
there's been a
queen
lot of
stuff.
anxiety
And
about that for a long time. And I think just like knowing that trans people exist, do you think that's different from going to a drag show? Just like knowing that
no, no,
that
they
gay people,
clearly
trans
know
people
they
exist?
exist, man.
Okay, but you mean just
And
like drag shows, if you don't
yeah,
like.
man, like there's no way that they need to be going to something like that. Like kids just don't need to be exposed to that. And I've seen kids that were like 6, 7 years old get drugged to those by their parents, and just because their parents are, it's supporting of that. And I think that that has a longer lasting mental problem than what the parents are realizing. It has a longer lasting effect
Yeah,
if you
the only
see
thing I
that from a
disagree on
very
is
young
like
age.
thinking if someone thinks they're a woman, I would just disagree with that because it's usually a very painful and I don't want to say traumatizing. It's usually a really painful and grueling process to go through this. Like people don't want to be trans. Like they don't want to have this disconnect between their body and mind to the point where they feel the need to transition. It's a very uncomfortable thing. Like people don't want to do this, but it does result in a lot, higher levels of happiness, lower suicide rates, and all that kind of stuff. And there is a lot of science to back everything up. But I just hate how the conversation is always made to fight each other, and it's obviously serving a purpose. of
Well, it serves
working
a
people
purpose
never coming
for the
together.
people above us. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
it
for
serves
sure.
the purpose for. Because the people that are divided are people that won't come together to be able
Well,
to
look at how we
change the
talk in this
system.
conversation where we come in and we're forced to like it's a terrible political system that we're coming into a conversation and I'm forced to make my title Trump is terrible to get views and we're forced to talk
Right.
about Hunter Biden and Charles Kushner as our political debate items that we're going to be throwing around. Like why do we need to talk about these corrupt idiots that are just controlling people to profit from? Why are we even
Yeah, it's
leading
not,
conversations with these
dude. We
topics? It
shouldn't
makes
even be
zero
on
sense.
sides like this. This is
It
why
shouldn't even be
this is
something we even think about. Why am I thinking about the children of Trump or the children of Biden? Or why am I
yeah.
thinking about the Clinton dynasty or the Bush dynasty, who almost had 3 presidents in their family? And now I'm thinking about the Trump dynasty. Like, why are we not talking about how we can solve issues that Americans are facing in a real way and talk about these things in a sober way? And I mean, yeah, it's
We
really
need to
annoying.
change politics. We need to put limits on term. We need term limits. We need term limits. We need. There's a lot of things that have to be changed in our government.
Well, we wouldn't
You
need
can't
term
have people
limits if
that.
people voted them out. I don't know why people are voting for 91-year-old Congress people
Yeah, I
either
don't
way.
understand that either. That blows my mind. I think it's just they feel comfortable because they don't. It's education. I don't know. I feel like people aren't educated more about their senators or about the congressmen. They're more educated about the presidential candidate and the vice president than anybody else, and
Yeah,
they
I
don't
feel like
care about anybody else.
America's not even in a terrible place. Like we have all the pieces together to have a really amazing world. Like even right now, we're at the safest position in human history we've ever been in, but it doesn't feel that way because of our conversations and because of media. And if one thing happens, you're going to see that on every TV screen in the world. And it's going to make
Yep.
everyone really scared to even walk outside, whether the risk is high or low. And if you were alive 50 years ago, there was crazy stuff happening every day. People were wondering if there's going to be a nuke dropping on them
Right.
every single second. Like things are
Right.
by far as tame as they've ever been right now.
Yep.
Um, and people are just like, it's like they're running out of things to complain about,
Well, it's
and
just
they're
we
getting
haven't had our
distracted.
own. The thing is, we haven't had our own thing to bring us together. We've had World War One, we had World War Two, we had the Vietnam War. I'm not agreeing with any of those, so don't. But those are things that
Yeah, but
brought us together. We haven't had a great conflict since then,
yeah,
other
but
than
it
Iraq,
sucks.
which
It
was the
sucks that we're
war
waiting
that
for a conflict to bring people
I
together. Like
know.
I don't want that
But
to
but
happen. I don't want a Great
it's
Depression to happen for us
always
to come
what
together.
has it's always what has brought us together as a country, and as sad as it is, but it's that we feel like young people feel like they don't have a purpose anymore. Like before, their grandfathers went and fought. Their grandfathers went and drove trucks or did something to help out with some sort of an effort to be able to either even during the Cold War just to help out to be able to make our technology better and to better the United States. Like we don't have anything now. Like I feel like these young kids have nothing to look forward to. Like
It's
nothing to
hard
fight
too because
for.
things are gonna be discovered. There's gonna be a point in human history where there's nothing new to make. You know, and that's
Right.
something that scares people. Where we're gonna have to be happy just existing,
Yep.
and just like and I feel like we can like it's something we can do. But humans seem so drawn to conflict. We should be happy if we live in a safe world where we have food and we have people we know we can enjoy it. Like I don't know people are and with the introduction of things like gambling being so mainstream on the phones now, that's decreasing investments in the average bank account by like 30%. That's
Yeah.
ruining people's mental states. Like these things are draining. It's a form of class warfare, and not to use like socialist terms, but it is a form of class warfare where they're trying to intentionally make us fight each other, dumb us
Yeah.
down. Meanwhile, they're
Well, it's.
going on like podcasts and acting like they're one of us,
I
and
mean, it
they're
was
gonna vote for
explained by
taking our
who's
money away.
that Russian that came over here, Mesmanov. Oh fuck, what was his name? He was telling us the fifth generation of warfare was demoralizing the people, dumbing them down, and that's essentially what they've been doing. Like it's a Cold War era tactic, and they're
Well,
using it
yeah,
against us,
Russia's
and we're just
army is
kind of
actually very weak. Like Russia has a very weak military other than nukes, and they have a lot of good propaganda. So like when Americans say like, "Oh,
propaganda is what.
the United States Army is weak because we have gay people in the ads." Meanwhile, Russia has like a
No.
Call of Duty trailer for their military. Like, no, it's probably the opposite because Russia's so weak, they need to pretend like they're strong. They're compensating
Yeah.
for how weak they really are to convince the world to be afraid of them, so they could talk about nukes. They're like their tactics are the same as North Korea, talking about missiles all the time and rockets.
Exactly.
They're not gonna nuke anyone. If they
Our main
do,
problem,
they're gonna do
honestly, is
it.
is China. It's not Russia. We can. Russia is not a problem. I honestly think that the
Well,
United States has a strong enough military to take on Russia and China and still be
It's not
fine.
military. It's information, and it's also if
Yes,
you're if we fight each other from within, you could take us down. Like Russia can defeat the
easy.
U.S. without firing a single bullet, and
Exactly.
that's what they've been kind of doing. And Elon Musk has a lot of ties to Russia and Russia billionaires, and he has business dealings with China, and the business dealings with China. If he shares our sensitive intel with them, because he's so close to Trump now, because he kind of like bought his way to he bought his way in the campaign. That's a really
Right.
scary prospect as well.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like I said, man, these richer people, you don't really know what their motives are, and like I said, that they can go out there and they can put a smile on their face. Like I voted for Trump. I believe things may possibly get better, but like a politician's a politician's a politician, man.
Well,
And
just as long as you're ready to turn on him when something bad happens, I'm okay. All right. As long as you're ready to
well,
say, all right, well, he's messing up.
hey,
I'm
man,
gonna be
if
out
I'm
there screaming
wrong,
about him being bad.
if
Then
I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I will.
that's
I've
all we
never.
need. That's the final check and balance on America staying a democracy. And if he comes for the Constitution, I'm hoping that a lot of my neighbors, and by neighbors I just mean fellow Americans,
There's
I'm
no
hoping that people are gonna
way.
stand up.
And trust me, man. There's no. I know a lot of red-blooded Republicans. None of them are going to allow that to happen.
I hope so.
Like
I hope.
we like Trump, but Trump is a small part of the cure. He is not, and he could possibly be worse.
Making it worse.
Yes. So it's
Would you
trust
ever
me.
like
We
consider supporting someone like when you hear someone like a Bernie Sanders talk, even though he's a socialist? Would you support someone like that if who's a
I'm
little
more
bit
of a
less
Rand
socialist?
Paul type guy, man.
But like as far as populism goes, because Rand Paul is a very
Ah,
corporate guy
I
too.
know, but I
Like taxing
Bernie
the
is.
wealthy more and giving more to the working class and
I
supporting individual freedoms. Like that's a
yeah.
big. Bernie's a full libertarian on social
I was
issues.
a Bernie bro, man. I
Okay, so you
back
were
in
a Bernie bro.
2015. So I had a fucking back. This is way back.
So
So
you like
I had a fucking
populism.
Bernie pipe, man. Like I smoked out of a Bernie weed pipe. Like I was fucking a Bernie bro. And man, I don't know. I feel like I'm just scared of him too. Like he thinks that it's a good thing to be in lines waiting for food. Like that sounds horrible. I
Okay,
don't know if
he
he meant
doesn't
to
think
say
that's a
that,
good
but
thing.
that's
I don't. That's not a.
uh,
That's not a thing he actually believes. Come on.
I really fucking hope not, man. But
No, he doesn't believe it. I promise. No.
I've known a lot of socialist like policies that I just can't get my whole head around yet. It's
But
just
he
like,
doesn't even advocate for socialist. A socialist policy would be like nationalizing companies and making them part of the government, like
well,
controlling oil and
I'm
gas
talking about
and.
like UBI, like
Well, UBI
to
is a cap. UBI is actually made by capitalist economists to replace the welfare state. So like the
well,
the the stuff Bernie advocated for, so like free trade schools and community colleges, some type of universal health care. I think his universal health care is a little bit too far, but there are systems that
exactly.
mix a public option and a private option, like Australia and Germany, which America would probably be good for. So like
That's what we should be doing.
yeah, like Medicare has regular Medicare, then Medicare Part D you could pay for. We could have everyone on regular Medicare, and then if they want to pay for a level above, then they can. It'd be kind of like
Right.
that. But yeah, we have the ability to do all of this. We have so much wealth available in the world. But yeah, we just get drawn into these political arguments.
We'll see. That's the thing. We have the wealth available, but we don't have the wealth available
We don't have the
to us.
will, and the big, and that's why we got to tax the rich more, and not give them full control of the government. I don't know why people thought that was the good idea, but I get. Well, you're gonna see.
we yeah,
Um,
we did that a long time ago, and we can't come
But
back
now it's
from
like
it. I don't
fully
think.
out there. Now it's like fully out there. Before it had,
Yeah.
at least you had some unions there. At least you had some like public servants there who worked in, I don't know, they went to school for environmental stuff or like healthcare, and they wanted to
Yeah.
regulate pharmaceutical companies and stuff. At least that was there before. Now it's like outright everyone in that cabinet is they have George Soros lobbyists, they have Dick Cheney advisors, they have Dick Cheney advisors, they have neocons, they have tech bros who want to have a surveillance state. So like I said, as long as you're there, we'll be good. But anyways, I'm gonna probably go to bed. It's getting pretty late here. It's almost
All right,
2:30
brother.
a.m. But I appreciate you calling in. The conversation started off fun. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
if I
sorry
post
about
this
that,
as a
man. I just got
video,
fucking irritated. But
no, it's
I
okay.
got
That's the
you.
love of the game. But that's what
That's
people
right.
find out when they come on my stream, is that I'm a pretty reasonable person, but it's just hard because the people. It's like in a relationship, all right. If your partner's crazy, they can make
Yeah.
you sound crazy, even if
Exactly.
they could drive you to a point where it's like if I talk to you, it's gonna like the if you heard the woman I talked to earlier, like it's gonna be like okay. You're obviously driven by some other motives. You're not engaging in a real way with me. I'm gonna sound
Right.
crazy if I even talk to you. So I feel like I want to hang up on some people because they're gonna make me look bad if I even try to engage with their insanity.
Yep,
Um,
I feel you.
yeah, but yeah, thank you for hopping on.
Hey man, no problem. I'll talk to you later.
Hope to see you around. That was a crazy conversation. That conversation that went from a screaming match about Hunter Biden screaming about it to talking about why we should be giving freedoms to trans people, but we should be taking kids away from not only drag shows but also Hooters if it's sexualized, to why we need to tax the rich more and why he voted Trump. But then he also is more of a Rand Paul guy who was a former Bernie bro, and we ended up connecting on the Constitution and why we need to protect American values, personal freedom, and not let the wealthy take over society. And we also talked about like China and Russia being threats, and about how the Russian military is propagandized and not real, and the U.S. military is strong, although we talk about like social issues. So like that was a interesting conversation. I feel like I just talked to populism. I talked to populism. That was not a person. That was the embodiment of populism.